Hello and welcome to episode 156 of My Bonus Life. Here is the agenda for today's video, so let's get right onto it. The first thing is the t-shirt that I'm wearing, which is called the Vitruvian Man, or it's based on the Vitruvian Man anyway. It's obviously a takeoff with a guitar, and it was made by Michelangelo, and it was inspired by an architect called Vitruvius, would you believe? So that's the first thing. Second thing is the Zoom calls. So they went really well. I can't talk to you about a lot of them because some very personal things were said, and they need to stay that way. What I would say is that as a care team, we're a really interesting group of people, and we do seem to have a common thread of traumas survived, I would describe it as, and let's concentrate on the word survived, because we have all survived those traumas and we are still going. So that was pretty cool. So I was pretty happy with those Zoom calls, and I did post out some shirts to some lucky people. So hopefully they'll send me some photos of them wearing those shirts and I'll be able to present them to you. Third thing on the agenda is the orange octopus. I haven't been able to get Paula to commit to a time. She's quite busy at the moment doing industrial art projects for money, so it's hard to talk her into doing something for an old friend for free or whatever. But anyway, Paula's been busy. However, Noel and I have been doing some things at the men's shed. I was talking to Noel and saying that I really wanted something to be able to scratch my back. And Noel put together this back scratcher, and I may say that it works spectacularly well. And so Noel made that one. And then when we went in together the other day, we had a piece of Jarrah, and Jarrah is a West Australian hardwood, and we decided to make one each. So Noel currently has two more back scratches that Noel is going to be waxing and putting a nice finish on them. So I'll be able to show you those to you at some stage. Chassis 22 went really, really well. So this is chassis 22 when I bought her, and this is chassis 22 when she left the building. There you go. So as you can see, I had a really lucky run. So what happened was I was asked for a lot of parts that didn't stop the car from starting, driving and stopping. And then I had someone ring me and say, hey, I'd really like the engine because my son has cooked his engine. And I said to him, look, that's great. I can either just sell you the engine, or I can sell you a chassis that still starts, drives and runs. Because the truth for me was I needed the space in the garage. But for him, it was like, great. I get an engine that I'm absolutely certain is fine because I can actually start it and drive it. And I get all these extra spare parts for my son's car after I'm finished. So he took that away, and that was great. And I took off a series of parts which I just put in boxes, and I've sold even more of those parts since the car has left the property. So chassis 22 went fabulously well. It was a very good decision to pick that one up and wreck it. Now, Caroline's holidays. So this will all be news to you, and if you think back, you would realise that Caroline left her world holiday to come and care for me because I got cancer about a year and a half ago. And Caroline was in the Galapagos Islands when she got that news. So she's gone, and when she came back, she almost straight away started working for the health department. So she's been a year and a half without taking any holidays, which is interesting in two ways. One is it's very hard to go a year and a half without holidays. And number two, when you get a certain amount of leave accrued, companies tend to push you to take the leave because they don't want to have the liability of having the leave on their books. So Caroline decided to take 5 weeks off. Her last day was today. She's already finished. So she's got 5 weeks off from today. And Caroline is going to go to England and France, and she might be going to Belgium as well, actually. I'll find out for sure later. Doing research for a book that she's writing about one of her ancestors, or several of her ancestors, but one in particular, that became a silk weaver in France and in England. So stay tuned on that. Caroline's story is going to be interesting. And I'll also put a link to Caroline's YouTube account as well, because she might, and I'm sure she won't promise this, but she might put up some videos while she's away. Although, if she was to ask me, I would say, concentrate on writing your book. Don't worry about YouTube. But anyway, we'll see what she does. The next thing on the agenda is my job start date. Now, wouldn't it be hilarious if Caroline finished this Friday and I start back at the same company next week? Well, that's what's happened. So Caroline finished today, or paused today, and I start there on Monday. So we actually ended up with no crossover whatsoever. I'm only going to be there, I think it was 3 months, so 12 weeks. So it's pretty short engagement, but I've never known a health department contract to not be offered for renewal. So I'm sure that if I'm enjoying it, I can stay on if I want. They'll find something for me. There's so much work to do in there. So I start work on Monday. So that's going to be interesting. Now, next thing, or actually last thing on the agenda, is my beard. So because I was getting that razor rash, I decided just to grow it out and see what happened. And I haven't grown it out for quite a while, and I didn't realise how much white I had. And as you can see, there's like a white spot here. And Caroline giggles when she sees it. So I think that's pretty funny too. So I'm going to grow it out for a while until I can't stand it anymore. And this avoids the razor rash, and it causes Caroline to laugh. So that's fine with me. So that's all I've got going on at the moment, which is a heap. Everything's going pretty well. My peripheral neuropathy has been really calm. I've actually halved and then halved again my dose, which is interesting. I used to be doing 1,000 milligrams in the morning and 1,000 at night. Then I went to 500 in the morning, 500 at night, and now I'm 500 in the morning only. And my peripheral neuropathy has stayed the same or even got a little bit better. I remember when I first canvassed you guys about peripheral neuropathy, there were quite a few patches of response. There were some people saying, I've had it for over 10 years, it's never going away. There were others that said it faded over a few months, but there was a cluster that said, I thought I had it forever, but at about the 2-year mark, it just suddenly went away. And I'm hoping that I might be in that group. And what that means is my nerves were severely damaged, but they weren't dead. And it's taken them near on 2 years, because it'll be 2 years in May, I think, May or June, since I had my chemotherapy. And it looks like I'm going to be one of those that might be getting their peripheral neuropathy fading away after 2 years. And I don't know if it'll fade away completely or just majorly, but in either case, I'll just be so relieved. Anyway, so that's happened, and I'm really appreciative. I've also noticed at the same time that my postural hypertension has got a lot better. And bearing in mind, both of those are nerve related. So the postural hypertension is, there's a nerve in your heart that detects when you've stood up, and it causes your blood pressure to increase, which stops you from fainting. And if you have nerve damage, that effect doesn't happen, which means when you stand up, your blood pressure does not rise, but you are now putting extra stress on the heart because you're now vertical, and because of that, not enough blood gets to your brain and you faint. So I'm quietly hoping that, I'd certainly say my peripheral neuropathy is getting better, not worse. It's certainly getting more manageable. So who knows? I hope it gets better. That'd be great. So that's pretty much where we're at. And I'm having a pretty good time. So I'll leave it there, a nice short one. So have a good time. Please try and be active, be healthy. And I hope that whatever trauma you're going through, that you're managing. And if you're not managing, do reach out to me because I'll give you my email address and we can set up a Zoom call, okay? All I'll be able to do is talk to you, but sometimes that's all that's needed, So let's stick together as a care team. Thanks very much. See you from Paul in Perth.